This is the rear. We had this little green piece right here was out to here. You can see where it came right there. So we really quick took an air sawzall, little small air sawzall, chopped it right down to here, put little slices in it right here so it would bend really easily, put a little bit of epoxy in there, took a Gorilla Tape, taped this piece up to here so it lines up perfectly now, and then filled in with epoxy. And while we're at it, we put a little bit of epoxy on the quarter panel back in there so we'd have a little bit of bodywork, so we'll grind that down. We've got a new line right there. While we were at it, we took just tape, we separated that like that, we put tape down in the little recessed area right here, wiped a little bit of paste wax on it, and then put a little bit of epoxy on this piece here because we want that to go down in the hole and to match up like perfectly. Over on this side, when you're looking at the side profile, they don't quite line up. This had a gap right here, so you can see right here is the line of this right here. Can't quite see it. There you go. So we needed to make a little bit of a new line here because that's where the quarter panel ended up. So right now I just built up again epoxy, ground this down, give it something to grip onto, lay up a couple pieces of cloth, get it to come up to that line. We'll sand this down. Next thing we'll do is just build this out just a little bit so that way we've got a nice, because to me this looks like it kind of comes in a little bit. So we'll build that out and we'll have a nice shape. Over here what we had is this line right here was in too far. So I'm just building up some thickness right here. Just epoxy on a little bit of fiberglass. Looks as nasty as can be right now. We're just building it thick, so we'll kind of sand that out. Then we'll grind away the inside line here and just probably do away with it because it needed a little bit of work, and we'll see what we got. So this is what I did really quick. After looking at this a second time, what I'm going to end up doing is cutting this to draw a nice straight line that kind of jives. You can see it's tilted up a little bit. I'll cut that off and just add it onto here so I get more of a straight line here. And I'm going to add a little bit on to this right here. But otherwise, this already, you can see it ground away that old line that was there. When you look at it now, I'm going to add a little bit more onto this side right here. It's going to come more like straight down. Over here, this lines up perfect. That used to be over here more. That was very, very simple. This is after about maybe 10 minutes of grinding. Grinding this all out, cleaning it all up. You can see right here, I'm going to bring this line out a little bit. And when you look straight down on it, going to look nice. And same thing over here. Want to look straight down on it like that, have it look like it's just chopped right off. So it's a little bit of this whole thing right here, adding this on both sides, doing what I did so far took about an hour, and then grinding it down about 10 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit more on here, add a little bit more on here, cut this off. I'll probably have another hour's worth of work tomorrow on it, then 10 more minutes of grinding, a little bit of body work, and all of this is going to meet up really nice and look just perfect. And if you look at some factory cars, they do not match up perfect. I want this to match up perfect. Okay, this is after doing some work here. So we made that really nice right there. Same over here. We've done about 3 hours of work to get everything to match up. Now we've got that line there. Did some work up inside of there. And right here I've got a little chip. I'll fix that later. We're going to primer it right now. It's the end of the day. You can see we lined everything up nice. Right here we've got some filler. That's what it looks like from the inside. Had to fill that in a little bit right there where you see the body filler. No big deal. Window goes right up against there. And I didn't like that there was a funky looking gap right there. So that's about it. We made this so that that all comes down nice and lined up really nice. And before, if you remember this angle, now it comes down nicer. Okay, here is the duct again. We packed a good amount of primer on there so we can sand it out. Like I said, we're going to repair that little, build that up a little bit, but we have everything. Probably I'm going to end up filling that little area right there a little bit more so it kind of scoops in a little bit. But now you look across and it's looking better. And there's that little area now. Kind of scoops in there and looks a little bit nicer. Spraying the primer pretty thick, so we got something to block out. And that is, got some little pinholes also to fill, but not too bad. We're going to go to the front. Going to the front, this is after glassing this piece back on. So you can see, just kind of fit it pretty nice. Had the corner come up to there, had to do a little bit of grinding. Epoxied it in place here. So I epoxied it on, took some Gorilla Tape right across here, held it in place, mixed up some epoxy with some Cavasil in it, the powder that turns it into a paste, pretty much holds it in place. Then you can see right in there, it's kind of white, that is the epoxy with the filler, and we use that like a body filler and just join these two pieces together. Epoxy again with cloth, joining these two together. We'll go in there and do what we did to this other side, which is this, what this side looks like now. So it's been sanded down already. This was still a little bit wet, but you can see we just ran the cloth right up past the top so we can sand it all smooth, and you get an idea of what this is looking like. Now what we'll do at the end of this, after we do a little bit of touch-ups there, you can see we ground away the gel coat so you get the sun shining through there, but we'll take the cloth that they used on the F40 and we'll overlay it over this part here, trim it with a razor blade, and then that'll be looking just like the F40. Identical dash that the F40 has. That's the dash underneath the dash, so that's what the dash mounts to. The dash that we all see in the cars, and you very rarely will see that piece, except for if somebody takes their dash out of the car to work on it. And this is, of course, pulling the window out of the car. You'll see that the front window rests there. Okay, so I got the whole dash done. Just ground down that carbon fiber epoxy mixture. Here's our bodywork in there. You can see we got this line really nice. We also put the material underneath there. Gonna primer all of this. There's the other side. A little bit of bodywork. We're gonna actually gel coat it with a little bit of primer over the top of it. You can primer it and see what we got. Okay, this is after primer. Got that F40 dash that goes underneath the dash. This is the front. You can see the material, exact material that F40 that they use for our uses on the cars. This car's looking kind of ugly right now while it's getting worked on, but you get the idea. So that's going to be our platform, which the dash gets attached to the F40 dash. And You can see we're gonna got a little bit of body work here. We're gonna sand these edges a little bit nicer, but this is actually even a little bit straighter and nicer looking than they do to the real F40s, but that's what it looks like. We'll trim a little bit of this. That's what it's looking like.